The death of a pet. How Lorde's deep, meaningful, heartfelt note just tells us how we grieve for our animals. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you've yet to do so, click there to subscribe. And then when you click the link directly in the box below, I can send you a copy of my free book. Lorde is a very talented musician from New Zealand who released a letter to her fans stating that she was delaying the release of her sort of third album. Her dog Pearl came into her life in 2018, and she says in this letter that Pearl brought her immeasurable joy and purpose, but she came with a host of health issues. One day recently she woke up, Pearl was very sick, she rushed her into the specialists. She had 2 cardiac arrests. After the second cardiac arrest, she died. She says that this loss has been indescribably painful and the light that was turned on for her has gone out. She's experiencing what so many of you and I have experienced, the loss of a pet. But why is the loss of a pet so hard? Our dogs and cats, they offer us unconditional love without conflict, constant availability and touch. The human-animal bond, it's so special, it's so unique, and it's just so hard to replace. It is really incredibly hard to lose a pet, and all this, when we're bonded to our animals, our dogs and cats, and we lose a pet, it doesn't matter who we are. If we're a famous celebrity, we're a musician, we're us. The grief can be huge. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the commonly asked questions about grieving the loss of a pet. And I want to point you towards one website called petloshelp.org. It's a great resource. The initial responses to grief are many and varied, from denial that it didn't happen to, this intense, you just can't stop crying, to you just almost just feel, slightly crazy going out of your mind, to, not being able to sleep, you don't really feel like eating much, like myself, you kind of withdraw from other people, you sort of have the sense, because often it's really difficult to sort of relay your emotions to other people, because it doesn't seem like many people really get it, or if they do, at least that's just been my experience. My point here is that the grief responses are really intense, and that is normal. Of all the different emotions, guilt is a huge one, especially if it came along with the decision to euthanize your dog or cat. In my experience, even my own experience, right? You sort of question, like, did you make the right decision? Could you have done something different? You sort of start to go back on, like, what if I had, opened my last dog Lorde who died of this mouth cancer? What if I checked on him a little bit earlier and caught that earlier? So normally you go through all of that stuff. Most of the time, especially when it's involving euthanasia, it's a really well thought out decision. In 99% of the time has been my experience. People take it really seriously. It's really thoughtful. And for pretty much all the animals in my experience, by the time it comes to the decision to euthanize, that really is the kindest thing. But even so, you're going to feel guilty, and just know, that's another normal emotion. In some cases, if there was a traumatic event that happened, such as a car accident, or such as in Lorde's experience, where her dog died fairly suddenly with a heart attack or cardiac arrest, that itself can even lend itself to even more intense grief emotions, and then some people experience signs and symptoms of PTSD. And there might be nightmares, panic, extreme irritability, just going over those events in your mind, or not being able to have them go through your mind. And if this persists for weeks or months, then you should be seeking professional help. How long until you feel better? There isn't a set period of time. It really varies with all of us. Typically, you're looking at several weeks to, it could be several months. We all grieve in different stages. But the biggest sort of takeaway I can from myself and from having to deal with hundreds of clients who've have lost their animals via just old age or via us euthanizing them, is take the time to grieve, feel those emotions, talk to others that support you and kind of get it. More importantly, these are other pet parents that would maybe hang out with, walk your dog with. People that really understand how important it is to have a pet. If like you just feel you're having an even bigger difficult time just getting sort of dealing with your emotions from grief, I do encourage you to talk to consider seeking some professional help. A therapist who's got some skill in grief counseling. Hopefully someone who really gets it, or what it means to be a pet parent and how important our pets are. I was going back trying to think if I could add more value to add into this video. And when my last dog Lewis died, it really helped me to sort of go through all those old pictures. I actually did a bit of I made an actual video on it. But for me to sort of go back and go through all those old pictures I kept and kind of sort through a bit of the life that I had with him or my whole family. And I found that to be super helpful as well, because it's a matter of you're not just focusing on the one moment where I'm at the clinic or Lewis was euthanized, but it's of his entirety life, which was pretty darn positive. So thanks you guys for watching this video. And yeah, all of us who have this sort of intense bond and connection to our pets, we get it. But because of that whole intense bond, it means that when they die, it really hurts. And it doesn't matter, if you're a famous celebrity or a famous musician, you're a veterinarian, or you're like me. Yeah, we all experience it. Thanks so much for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets. If you've yet to do so, click up here to subscribe. And then when you click the link directly in the box below, I can send you a copy of my free book.